Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about things that have been on my mind and my heart that I want to share with you. When it comes to health, I have specific goals. And for me personally, I want to make sure I'm avoiding things and getting the things out of my life that are contributing or introducing things in my life that are going to contribute to disease and get them out. But at the same time, longevity from a healthy standpoint, not just to say I reached a certain age, but to do that and still have the energy as I do at a younger age. This is what I want to accomplish. And I have to be realistic, and I want people to be realistic. We can continually introduce new things into our diet, into our lifestyle, new healthy habits. We could replace old bad habits, and hopefully some of the things I'm sharing with you are going to motivate you to experiment and try new healthy things that are going to bless you. But the real key to health is consistency, discipline and consistency. So discipline to initially make those changes, but then consistency to continue doing them. And if we do too much too soon, it might be exciting at first and that might help us make that change. But to be consistent, it might become harder to do than we think. So we want to go at a pace where we're not overwhelming ourselves, but at the same time where we're making a change to make some significance. For me, it's learning the things I need to learn, and I'm excited to apply them right away in my life. But the more knowledge I give myself, the easier it is for me to be disciplined and consistent. So if the things I've learned and the things I see people do and the little changes that people can make to change their life, that's what I want to discuss. And one of these things is the food we're eating. Now, I am blessed, truly blessed, to have created this environment where I can eat much of my food homegrown. Now, some of you watching this think, well, you'll never be able to have that opportunity. The reason why I'm able to do that is not just because I have these great fruit trees that I'm growing here in my yard, and that only gives me fruit here in the summertime, some of them in the wintertime. But the main thing is gardening. Gardening is the foundation of what I eat. Is the green vegetables and the salad greens. And people say, well, we don't have land to do that. And the majority of things I eat in my salad on a daily basis is microgreens and sprouts. And you could do that no matter where you're living, from New York to Alaska to Hawaii to Florida. You can do that in your own kitchen, and it's not complicated to do. And for years I thought it was, but it's not difficult. Go look on any video. I have videos on microgreens, which is like sunflower sprouts and pea sprouts, and also and other greens. They're just very easy to make in your own house. When I lived up north, I learned about wild foraging to know which foods were good, the leaves I can eat off what trees, and so on. And making foods that or eating foods that are grown, like fresh and locally, especially in my own kitchen, definitely makes a difference in my diet. So when you're looking at ingredients and when you're going to the supermarket, the things you're going to eat that have the least amount of toxins in them or the least amount of chemicals in them, the least processed they are, the better off it's going to be for your body. Even things as simple as the market picked it this day and it came in the store on Monday versus it's been sitting there all week and I'm going to buy that on Friday. Learning the schedules of where you shop, when the produce comes in, where it's coming from. I try not to buy things from out of the country. And if it is from the country, when did it arrive at the market? Trying to get it the same day and not waiting where it's sitting on the shelf for a week, because it's already taken a good amount of time to get there to begin with. So when it gets there, where it's grown, how it's grown. And here I am talking about the produce, but when you see things sitting in a shelf in a canned box or some other package, often it's been there for weeks and months. And these are the things I definitely want to try to avoid. And now they're doing some things to apples and other things that make them last months. These are the things I want to avoid. So if I can't grow it myself and eat it myself, the things that I'm able to get least processed, less chemicals as soon as it was picked. And the way we can do this, thankfully, many packages and things like this, if you are going to eat something from a package, has labels on them. And the labels tell you what's in there. So for me, I don't have to worry much about this because I pretty much eat nothing packaged. Everything I eat, the only package around it is the skin of a fruit or vegetable. But for many of you out there that are still eating packaged foods, and even for some of my family members that eat packaged food, I look at the package and I want to see what's going on and what's in there. And for myself personally, I think the extracted oils, salt, and definitely sugar, added sugar, these things are definitely I want to try to avoid. And maybe I don't do it 100%, but I'm certainly gotten so well about it, it's close to 100%. But these are warning signs to me that the average person might think is healthy. Even things like natural flavors. We hear natural flavors and artificial flavors. Well, we just assume artificial flavors are bad because it says the word artificial, and we assume natural flavors are good because we said the word natural. Well, there's not much big of a difference between artificial and natural. So we don't need extra flavors when we're eating stuff that's not processed. We don't need preservatives when we're eating stuff that's fresh and not sitting on a shelf. We don't need chemicals added to our food to mimic the great food in nature that we can get. So think about your diet. Just think about it. You know, I talk a lot about how often we eat. I talk a lot about how much we eat. But let's look at what we're eating. Think about it. The majority of your time in a supermarket should be in the produce section, not in the aisles buying stuff that's on shelves and boxes and bags and containers. And often what you find there is stuff that's just filled with preservatives and chemicals that aren't healthy. I hear a lot of people on the internet talking about longevity, and many of them are eating these very foods that are in box bags and containers. For me, I've decided to eat pretty much only things that are grown fresh and never need a box. They're not sitting on a shelf longer. They're going to go bad because I've learned that real food is supposed to have a life process to it. It has a ripening stage, a freshness stage, and a rotting stage. That's real food. If you want to alter it a little and put a fermenting stage like sauerkraut or kimchi, that could be very healthy. But it's not supposed to be sitting somewhere for months and months and months. It's not. Somebody wanted an experiment I knew, and they took a McDonald's hamburger and they left it sitting in a plate, and it was literally turned like hard as a rock and looked the same months and after months after it. It's amazing. And we think fruit is bad because it rots. It doesn't look good and it rots, but that's good. That's life. You want food that has life in it. Life produces life. But really, when you go into the supermarket, or even now, not even going to the supermarket, just think about, where do you spend most of your time? What aisles do you spend most of your time? Some of you, it might be the seasonings aisle. You don't need to season delicious, amazing fruits and even greens and things like this. They have such a robust flavor and herbs, and it's just, you don't need to season these things. Some of you might go to if you're eating animals, you might go to the meat aisle or the milk aisle or the egg or dairy aisle. None of that is necessary for great health. We've been fed a lie, so to say, to think we need that stuff to thrive. But how much time do you spend in a produce aisle compared to those other aisles? This should be the question. And when you are eating something, go to your kitchen cabinets right now and look at the ingredients. Look at the ingredients. My advice would be, if you don't know what one of those ingredients are, I'm not going to say don't eat it. I'm going to say research it. Look it up. Thankfully, today we have this amazing thing called the internet, and you can go on the internet and you can type the name of the ingredient that you don't know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, you're putting that in your body. You're investing your health in this product. So if you don't know what it is, look it up and do a search. And you don't even have to take it home and look. You could just do it right in the store on the phone. Look it up. What is this? And I would suspect that the majority of the things you find when you look these things up, you're probably not going to want to eat them. You're probably not going to want to eat them. And at the same time, you're educating yourself. Now that's easier to do with labels that are in processed foods that are sitting on a shelf. And if it's processed right then and there, it should be a red flag. But then there are the fruit and vegetables where you don't know. You don't always know what's going on, but you can also do some research. Most fruits and vegetables do have a label. And if the first number in the label, I believe, is a 9, that means it's organic. If it has no label, you might want to ask the grocer, well, how come there's no label on this? Or these questions, where did it come from? You know, even organic standards, I don't know what they are in other countries. I know what they are in this country, but where did the food come from? When did it come there? And if it's not organic, what's going on with it? You know, a lot of people mistakenly think that non-organic means GMO. Well, GMO is something different. It's actually non-organic usually, because it can be organic and GMO, but it's usually not organic, but it's not healthy to any level. GMO food is not healthy. Thankfully, there's only a few amount of crops that are GMO, and those are the ones you want to avoid. So go on the internet and find out what foods are GMO. Actually, I correct myself. If it's GMO, it can't be organic, because if it's organic, that means non-GMO. So that's a correction. But if it's GMO, now first try to find only organic, and then you're safe. You're safe from the chemicals, you're safe from the GMO. But if you look at the list of foods that are GMO, even if they're not part of the 30 dozen, which means the foods that are sprayed the most, don't get them. And that's just for produce. There's genetically modified foods and a lot of things like for example, corn. So you might see, oh, corn, and you might think it's good. Well, unless it's organic, it's most likely genetically modified. So avoid corn unless it's organic. And so, but you gotta do the research, where it's coming from, the produce, when did it get there? If it's not organic, is it GMO? And if it's not GMO, okay, well, what sprays did this country use on this food? All this information is available. And then when you see what sprays are on the food that's not organic, you know, go research those sprays. See how toxic they are. And try to figure it out. Educate yourselves, folks. That's what I'm saying. Educate yourselves about what you're putting in your body. Is that difficult or too radical or extreme to tell you to educate yourself about every single thing that's going to go in your body? Why would you let anything pass your lips that can be harmful to your health? Why would you do it without educating it? And people do this with their pets, they do this with their children, and they do this with themselves. They put things in their bodies without even knowing what they're putting in their body. If you are assuming that the manufacturers and the people that are making the food care about your health as their number one goal and priority, you have been misled. That's not true. We get so into thinking certain things, and you know, there's so much research now, and it's not conspiracy research, it's real research to show what is in something. And hopefully people will make better choices. And some people say, well, organic food costs too much. Well, whatever excuse we want to give ourselves, I'm not eating things that are loaded with chemicals that I don't even know what they are, let alone if I knew. I'm not doing that. And I'd rather not eat and fast than eat something that is not healthy. And there are the dirty dozen organic foods versus the not, and maybe you can get away with those. Maybe bananas aren't as bad, non-organic, as apples. But still, you want to do your best to make wise choices when it comes to your health. Okay? All right, everybody. Put your comments and questions below. I'm going to talk about a lot more of this stuff to help motivate you and hopefully give you good information to help you figure this out. Until then, everybody, thank you for watching. And I really care about you and my body, so we should educate ourselves. Have a great day and a great raw life.
Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show.